To open this reflection piece, I think it's important to acknowledge both where I am and where I've come from in terms of my personal and professional experience. Firstly, I'm quite lucky that I was raised by a teacher who was also a keen reader. And I'm lucky that I grew up enjoying reading because I feel like I learned more vocabulary, expression, and language from books than I did from my English classrooms. I had the understanding that I was an engaged reader, that my interest in books played a role in getting me through school. But what can I say about my professional practice? Well, at this point, I still have very little professional experience to draw on. I do have distant memories of rows of desks. I vaguely remember books, worksheets, exams, and I remember never submitting an essay because I didn't understand how to write them. And can I rely on these memories as a teacher, though? Honestly, no. It does highlight to me the importance of engaging students' interests, though. According to Fellows in Oakley in 2014, students will reach school with vastly different backgrounds, experiences, and feelings about literacy. There are social and cultural factors at play, which may lead some students to view literacy as more or less important than other subjects, and at times there may even be community-wide attitudes against certain types of learning. So encouraging students to engage with literacy, to me, is the role of the educator. So perhaps my first consideration should be, how do I create an environment which supports students' interest in literacy? Emergent literacy theory suggests that language develops naturally through exposure and practice, and is driven by an innate desire to communicate. It's also Fellows in Oakley 2014. It seems natural for a positive learning environment to guide and encourage communication, though it is important to note that communication is more than simply noise. Communication should promote fair and equitable exchanges, and so a learning environment should have a focus on inclusivity and pro-social practices. Communication and collaboration are highly valued skills in 21st century classrooms, according to Bolstad et al. 2012, and this is supported by the Australian curriculum, which sees personal and social skills as a capability which all students should aim to achieve. That's ACARA 2017. Social interactions and social learnings are also incorporated into the language strand of the Australian curriculum, ACARA 2017, suggesting that a pro-social environment will also help me as an educator to assess students authentically and over time. Now, I feel that a classroom should be image and text rich, with a particular focus on resources which support topical learning. Image-rich environments can be used to great effect if learning is integrated, meaning that subject areas intersect around a common focus. An example is when specific elements of English, say vocabulary, say about dinosaurs, is being taught while the related concepts are being learned in other subject areas. I think that integrated learning works not only with emergent learning theory, but also with constructivist learning theory, in which students form understandings by creating meaningful personal connections. Now, integrated learning does tend to provide many incidental teaching moments. To me, being an ideal educator in this environment means being quick to recognize these moments and having a range of strategies for guiding individual students towards making these connections. Now, I've got no illusions that this is a complex balancing act. And I think it places an educator in the challenging position where they're no longer the source of knowledge, but do need a high level of subject knowledge, literacy, and social skills. Now, further benefit of integrated learning for me is that it lends itself to teaching across spans of time in which concepts can be revisited and built on. This aligns with two teaching strategies which have really spoken to me so far. Those are the spiral curriculum and the reflective cycle. Now, in each, learning occurs which is then reflected on and refined or added to. Now, as analysing and creating literature fall within the literature strand of the Australian curriculum, ACARA 2017, an educator could draw on the teacher-learner model described by Green in 2006. And this offers a literature-focused version of these cycles with a built-in release of responsibility as the students progress towards creating texts. And being able to teach in this cyclical way allows for language and concepts to be introduced, exemplified, used, reflected on, reviewed, and reused. This allows students a number of entry points to the learning. Students can be given a variety of activities which speak to different learning styles. For example, listening, talking, reading, responding to images or practical experiences. And these in turn can align with different aspects of literacy. The Australian curriculum recognises that literacy involves understanding and communication through a variety of media and means. That's CARA 2017. Now, students will have different capabilities and language skills, and revisiting learning reduces the pressure on students who might be, say, learning in an additional language or who might not have been exposed to literacy before school. And underpinning teaching with a gradual release of responsibility will allow me to support diverse learners. And through collaboration, students who achieve ownership over their learning faster will make valuable resources themselves for other students. Integrated learning does present challenges for engaging students' personal interests, though, as subjects would need to be planned to meet curriculum standards. So it's important to plan time for students to work independently, whether that's simply independent reading or an interest-based project. Well, so far I'm hoping to create a social space rich in images and texts, which support integrated learning across multiple subject strands. I'm hoping to be able to plan lessons which involve multiple forms of media, which can be accessed in a number of ways by individual students. And I hope to plan activities which revisit, reflect, and progressively build on learning. It's not too much to ask, right? Luckily, this is supported by contemporary teaching practice. The self-organized learning environments, interest-based and inquiry-based learning, and flipped lessons involving online or interactive content are giving modern students exponentially more ways to engage with learning. Making time for this in a classroom will hopefully provide more opportunities for relationship building, for individuating, and finding ways to create authentic learning. No doubt becoming an effective teacher will take some time and practice yet. Thank you.